Futures Marketers is a platform dedicated to pioneering holistic growth for marketers. We provide forward-thinking education and innovative tools that empower professionals to excel and lead in their careers.
I always try to really be transparent with all my clients because that really fixes the whole sense of the relation, of the partnerships since the beginning.
Right.
So in my opinion, like creating big expectations is one thing that can lead to this situation. Of course, there are many others. But the bad experiences that I had in the past with this is because maybe the expectations of the client were too big and I was not clear enough to like tell to the client, hey, this is not like this, we need this, blah blah blah. And that's something that they learned over the last 3 years.
Yeah, I think I like what you said about day one, be confident, you're the specialist, show them. I feel like if you're not too confident when you present, you get more questions. But if at the beginning, listen, there's all these things that we need to work on. This is what I can bring to the table. This is what I don't bring. This is now, especially with marketing, there's only so much we can do. Like we can get you the users, we can try to get higher quality users. But if it's like a gaming app, for example, it becomes in the realm of the product, which is we don't develop the app. There's a disconnect there from marketing to product. So app marketing, more specifically user acquisition and ASO, App Store Optimization. To me personally, it's still a fairly new term. Is UA and ASO a job function? Is it a skill? What's your take?
My take here is a bit like controversial, I would say.
Go for it. That's what we like.
Just to be like super transparent here. I started as ASO manager. First a junior ASO assistant or consultant. I don't remember the exact name, but junior. I was a junior. Was learning how ASO works. Back in the days, it was like in 2018, I think. So 6 years ago. I was learning, and then after like a year working, I started to manage my own games in the ASO side only. And then is when I realized that ASO is just limited, The power of ASO has like a limited like reach. And although it's super important to work on your ASO and to optimize your app page as much as you can, the truth is you really need to run paid campaigns if you really want to grow. That's the reality. The only exception on this, or at least the only exception I saw in the past, is when apps get viral. In that case, you may not need ASO and paid UA, but if you have like a normal app, you're a normal company, you need both. And the potential of ASO is really connected to the potential of your paid campaigns, because every time you run a campaign, you are affecting your organic traffic. That's the reality. So when I realized of that, in my company, I started to ask to take care of the paid campaigns. Basically, because I like that part more. There was like more like accurate data to work with. And second, I was realizing that over the time, ASO is going to be quite automated, in my opinion. I think that ASO is important, you need to work on that, but until a certain point where you are starting to see like a barrier of growth, in that point, you need to start to think about paid UA, because it's the only driver that will unlock the barrier.
No, I agree with that. You mentioned, I'm going to say something controversial too. I think a lot of companies now, just from like studying and obviously working at different jobs, a lot of the success of a business is all about paid advertising. Like it's kind of pay to play. If you don't spend money in ads, yeah, you can get organic growth. You can do out of home campaigns. You can do SEO, but really you'll cap at a certain point. You know, and if you have a competitor who has the same exact product as you, same exact game, maybe they just literally copied your whole proposition. If they're, you know, doing user acquisition, you're kind of done, you'll die, right? So I think, yeah, like you said, it's user acquisition is going to give you a lot more opportunity to grow. Did you get into app marketing straight away, or did you have like a history before that?
My whole career has been quite straightforward, I would say. Like, I discovered marketing in high school when I started to study economy. Then I found the topic very interesting, so I decided to do my degree in the university in marketing and markets research. So I'm a graduate on that. And after finishing my degree, I had like some intern jobs, you know, as a marketing assistant in some like web companies, also in e-commerce companies. And then after the interim, I just switched to the mobile industry. In this case, I started in the bus industry. I don't know if you know this like sub industry we have. Bus is like value added services. It's like a industry which works with subscription services which are paid by SMS and so on. So I was there for a year as a business developer, and then I switched to this small company in my hometown in Malaga, where I started to learn ASO, and then 1 year later I started with paid UA, and then I switched to AppRadar, which was like the first agency I worked with. Then AppRadar was acquired by Splitmetrics, so until now. And yeah, on this journey, I also started as a consultant, so having my own clients as an additional, let's say, part of my routine.
For people who don't know who you are, do you mind giving us an overview?
Yeah, I mean, I've been like working as UA manager or also ASO manager for the last 6 years already. Basically, since I finished my studies in my hometown in Malaga, in Spain. After that, I had the opportunity of working with more than 90 apps, because I have like the lack of working in the agency side, where you can like participate in a lot of projects and companies with different goals, different strategies, different products. I have experience with all the paid acquisition channels you can imagine, because with 90 apps as a background, you can imagine that I test a lot of things. In ASO, I also like did like a lot of ASO for different apps, different categories, languages, I don't know, products as well. So I think that my background is really narrow, but at the same time specialized, because that professional path that I've had has been like moving me professionally super faster, because I've been always super like specialized on this niche. That's why maybe if I compare myself with the top voices of the industry, my career is like much shorter than them, but my knowledge is not that far, I would say, because I didn't test any other thing. I just work with apps since like moment zero, almost, like only like accepting these intern jobs that I had like after finishing the university. I directly jump into the mobile industry. So all my professional career, I've been working in this industry, and I really love it, and I really enjoy my days. So I hope I can like stay working on this.
Yeah, for sure. Are you very mindful of like specializing in UA and ASO, or in a couple of years do you want to segue into more of a generalist role?
So I'm like a guy who really likes creating things. I really like creating my own apps, my own games. I already did that in the past. It worked like a bit. It was not a failure, but it was not a success. But I learned a lot.
So it's a success.
Yeah,
You learn
then
something,
for
yeah.
me it was like a huge success because I learned not only like how to launch an app from scratch, like all the ASO and paid UA that you have to do, but I also learned about coding from the developers. I learned a lot about like regulation, laws in Spain, about how to create companies, taxes, you know, all this stuff
Yeah.
that nobody teaches you on school. And yeah, for me it was like huge success in terms of learning, of course. But in the future, at the moment, as I said, I really like my routine. I really like this industry. I really like my job, what I do every day for companies, like causing an impact on companies, on the growth of companies is really like meaningful. And honestly, I'm just like flowing with the time. At the moment, I feel good, but it's true that sometimes, you know, like dealing with clients every day can be like exhausting. So maybe in the future, I try again with an app and see if I can like dedicate my time to work on my own company, you know. That will be one of the things that I would like maybe. But at the moment, I'm quite happy, I would say.
Yeah. I can tell. I remember the last time we spoke, I told you I'm a big intuition guy. I can usually see if we're going to connect. And what I've noticed with you is the way you talk about user acquisition, even on your LinkedIn, which, I will link David's LinkedIn profile in the description below. You can tell that you love this thing. You know, you're zoned in, talk about the metrics, you're very direct. You're not trying to sugarcoat anything. I respect that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I started to use LinkedIn, I felt that everyone was like selling smoke and mirrors, you know, like it's a huge, I don't want to say like bad words, but it's like,
I go for it. We can exit out.
No worries. It's like a huge like space where people try to pretend something they are not, and I really don't like that. I'm transparent in work as I'm transparent in life. So if you know me personally, you will receive the same. I think that this is like the only way to proceed in life. And when I started to post like what I was doing, it was because one, I had the opportunity of working with many different apps. So I thought that it could be interesting for many people because I had like fitness apps, mobile games, meditation apps, health apps. So a lot of categories with different campaigns, different experiments. So I thought, okay, this can be interesting. The second is I didn't find anyone who was straightforward with the learnings. Everyone was trying to cover like the whole topic because at the end they wanted to sell you something. In my case, I don't have like intentions of selling anything. It is just pure learning because it is like what I do, and I think that it is like very interesting to share your knowledge and experience with others. Right now, I think things are much better than when I started. There are a lot of like people who are talking about paid UA and ASO without like waiting anything in exchange, and I think that's the way. That's the healthy way to build like the industry. And for me, basically I try to post things that have not been like posted before, not only in terms of ASO, but for example, if I see like a new feature on a paid channel, if I see like privacy, a new campaign for like a modeling attribution in a paid channel as well, like everything I think I see that can be like interesting for people who are in the industry, I try to post that. I don't have too much time to work on my post, so most of them like are like quite like, you know, manual. I just write them and put the pictures and then directly post. I don't check them too much because I don't have the time. So for me, this is just for fun. It is true that because of this post, people are now like knowing me and knowing my job, which is great. And it's true that it's also creating opportunities. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, when people see that you are expert on something, opportunities can happen. But at the moment, like I'm quite like relaxed with the content and just posting what I consider that is interesting, and that's all.
So SKAN 4.0, there's a lot to talk about that specific topic, but how are you finding SKAN 4.0? Has it affected you? What do you think of it in general?
So, to be honest, SKAN 4 is better than SKAN 3. That's the reality, and I recommend everyone to switch as soon as they can from SKAN 3 to SKAN 4. But at the same time, I have to say that it is not enough. Apple is not doing enough for the industry. The limitations are still too strict, and this is like causing that many companies go to bankruptcy, many people lose their jobs, and in my opinion, they can do much better. Just like Google is doing with Privacy Sandbox. They are like taking more time, but at least they are preparing something that is not going to break the whole industry as they did in the past with SKAN. I think that people have to adapt to this. Like, it is the future. There is nothing we can do to avoid this. We are gonna live in an industry with privacy restrictions, and yeah, I of course adapted to it. But it is true that in many situations with many clients, most of my SKAN campaigns didn't make sense in the beginning. First of all, in SKAN 3, you needed the privacy thresholds. You need like a lot of daily budgets in order to achieve these privacy thresholds. Then the conversion values were super limited to only 24, 48 hours after the install. Now it's better with SKAN 3. But I feel that we are still far from what we need.
Right.
Right now, SKAN is something that I try to approach like with 3 data frameworks. I work with blended data, I work with SKAN data, and I work with probabilistic data. And with those 3 scenarios, I try to build the reality. That's what I do with iOS, and I think that that's the best way to get an accurate idea of what's going on with your iOS app. Because at the end of the day, working with like different source of data is what is gonna tell you more or less the truth. If you just go with one source of data, for example, blended or only SKAN, you will lose a lot of signals, a lot of things that are happening as well at the same time. So in my opinion, you need to work with as many sources of data as you have.
Yeah. In terms of thresholds, so Meta, zooming in on Meta ads specifically, let's say the cost per install of the campaign is, let's say it's very expensive, let's say 20 euros, which is quite expensive. Do you try to then, let's say, I think the minimum threshold, you probably know this more than I do, I think it's 50 to 80, I can't remember the number.
No, actually now with SKAN 4, it is not called privacy threshold anymore. Now it's like data tier, which is basically the same, because
right.
With SKAN 4 we have now coarse conversion values, which like brings you user data even when you don't reach like those thresholds, right? So still I think that you need 60 to 90 installs per day, depending on the campaign, to be honest, because I had like clients that were receiving like less than 20% null conversion rate with only 60 installs per day, and other clients were like having 80 plus a null conversion rate with the same 60 installs per day. So I think the number is 60 to 90, but if you are like above 90, you are like receiving everything. So I always recommend going for the 90 if you can. In the example you just put, if you have like a CPI of 20 euro, either you have like a big budget, man, or you just need to work with like blended data. Like you can still like run install campaigns. You will see only the install, maybe some signals because of the course conversion values, but just like a very small proportion. Then you will need to apply, you will need to model the data from SKAN. Like, okay, if I'm receiving those SKAN installs and I have an average conversion rate of this, I can estimate that those installs are performing like this. It is not 100% accurate, but it is what we have at the moment. Meta in this case also has like AEM, aggregated event measurement, which is like a modeling technology that they have to avoid SKAN delays and also SKAN like limitations in terms of signals. So they model the conversions that the campaigns may have, but again, this is probabilistic. This is not deterministic, meaning that you don't have 100% accuracy of data.
Right. I agree with what you said regarding Apple basically focusing too much on data privacy, which we're heading into that. You know, I feel like in a couple of years, I don't know if we'll even see conversions. But I don't know if you heard about the news recently with Google changing their plans with the removal of third-party cookies. So they've said, no, we're actually going to keep it now. I don't know if you heard the news.
I heard them. It was like the third-party cookies. It was for web, or
it's for so basically web and mobile. So basically, if you're in Chrome and that website is taking third-party cookie data from you, their plan was to essentially block those websites from getting that data from you and then reselling it to someone else.
No, I didn't hear that then.
So I feel like Google's maybe a bit more, I don't know, friendlier with marketers, but maybe they're just a bit more, you know, we want marketers to see more data so they can spend more in Google Ads. Maybe that's the
they are for sure. They are for sure, because with Privacy Sandbox, what they are preparing, although they are like getting rid of the identifier that Apple deleted for the privacy. Although they are deleting that, they are still like using other, let's say, parameters to have like something deeper and not super limited as we have in Apple. So I think that's also why they took more time to prepare everything. I mean, we are in July 2024 and there is no like beta version. I mean, there is beta version, but it's like close. Only for some companies, and it is true that they are like collaborating with other companies to create something that fits well with the industry, and that's something that Apple didn't do. That's the reality, and that's why I think that they really need to improve that. I guess they are not like pushing so hard with that because at the end of the day they have like a closed environment. And Google has not that, right? So Apple has the whole control over everything because they have the store, they have the phones, they have everything. But Google can't do the same. And that's why they are forced to be more friendly with their privacy restrictions.
What exactly is user acquisition for someone who's never heard of it?
So for me, I mean, the pure UA activity is all the users that you can acquire through paid campaigns across all the different channels that offer app promotion campaigns. That's for me the definition. But personally, for me, user acquisition means a lot more. It means like everything you need to do to, apart from acquiring the users from the different networks, everything you need to do to improve the performance of those users, like analyzing retention, analyzing ARPU, RPPU, LTV, I don't know, all the metrics that the app gives you in order to make your product better. So for me, it's not, I mean, my role is not limited to paid campaigns only and ASO, but it also includes like collaboration with the product team, collaboration with the design team, collaboration with the finance team even, because I have to show them what the how the numbers look like on the paid side, to see if the investment that we are doing is going well. That will be with the finance. With the design team, I have to have meetings with them because their work will directly affect my work and my success. With the product team as well, because if I acquire one user that doesn't retain more than 2 days on the app, that means that my success will be limited by their work, right? So for me, user acquisition includes a lot of like activities.
Right.
Maybe growth manager or something like that can also be like related to that. As I said, pure UA is user acquisition, which is acquire users through paid campaigns. But personally, I do much more than that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you because I don't know who invented that term, but a user acquisition manager does much more than just getting someone to install the app. It's that full user journey, activation, retention, revenue, referral, which is a bit of a shame. I feel like if you have, me personally speaking, if you have UA manager, I feel like people might put you in a box. Oh, they just do paid ads for app campaigns when you work with product dev. So whoever invented that term.
Yeah, could be.
I know.
That's why I don't have that. I think I have apps and games growth on my title.
Yeah.
So, that's
a better term.
That includes everything.
Yeah. What channels are we, when you talk about user acquisition, what are the typical channels you work with? If you can include, I know you mentioned Unity in the last time we spoke. I don't know if you want to talk about, that's not a channel specifically UA, but it's kind of is at the same time.
So it really depends on the app or game I work with. I'm normally...
So yeah, let's say a gaming app, maybe that would be more
a gaming app. So it depends on the monetization model. If the game monetizes through ads or through in-app purchases, or it is like an hybrid model. Depending on that, I will decide to give more priority to one channel or another. Normally for Android, in 99% of the cases, I go with Google Ads first with Android because it doesn't matter what type of monetization you have, you will surely have the best performance there for Android. Then in iOS, I always try to give a shot to opposite chats, basically because I have deterministic data, meaning that I know everything that happens with the users that I acquire. With mobile games, opposite chats is quite limited. So if that doesn't work, I normally go with Facebook or TikTok. And in case that the game is monetizing through ads, I also go with DSPs like Uploading, which is great, Integral, Unity as well, Bangle, Liftoff. Although for those channels you need like a high daily budget, like very minimum is 500 a day for one campaign. So yeah, in order to run those channels, you need to be like a bigger company with a bigger project.
What you do exactly, you're literally a consultant. You look at how do I acquire users, how do I help the company monetize. But you mentioned a few things there like deterministic analysis and probabilistic analysis. Let's talk about mobile measurement partners, MMPs. Which MMPs have you used? Do you have a preference for one?
It's a tricky question. I've worked with all of them, of course, because after working with more than 90 apps, I can imagine the chances of getting different MMPs are like really, really high. And yes, I work with all of them, like Adjust, AppsFlyer, Coachella, Branch, Tangent. I think there are like smaller ones, but those are like the bigger ones. Singular as well. Personally, I prefer like the top two for me are Adjust and then Singular. AppsFlyer in the beginning, like 5 years ago, it was like great, but with the time they're adding more and more like paid features. Like you can almost use anything without paying an extra for it, and that's why I don't like it. Adjust for me has like the best reporting interface. It is really, really easy to show any data you need. like, and it's also like very, very fast to load all the queries. And then Singular, which is an MMP that I'm working more with recently, it is also like improving a lot compared to the version I tested like 2 years ago or so. The new interface is good. The reporting is good as well. The setup with the paid channels is easy. So yeah, I think those are like my top two. Depending on your price, you can go with one or another.
Yeah. AppsFlyer is becoming too capitalist because they're one of the first movers in this space. Now they feel like we have a lot of users. Our brand is very well known. Let's monetize to keep our investors happy. I'm sure that's the thing they talk about behind the scenes.
Maybe they just want to get like super big players as clients. Like they're just going for companies that can spend more than, I don't know, 200K a year on tracking. That can be a reason. But honestly, I mean, if you are starting, you really don't need an MMP. You can go with free solutions and easily run your campaigns. And the moment you start to think about integrating an MMP, you need to consider that is like an additional cost on your installs. That's the reality, because you need to pay an extra to track them, right? So in the beginning, like for small companies, I always recommend going with the free solutions. For Android, you can use Firebase, and you can have like deterministic and accurate tracking with Firebase and Google Ads. But you can also use like the Facebook SDK and run campaigns there with their data signals. I think, in a Snapchat, I think you can also do something with the SDK they have.
Yeah, I think they have an SDK. They have one as well. Yeah.
I'm not like completely sure if you need like the MMP at some point, because right now I'm like running a Snapchat, but I have like MMP connected. So the thing is, there are like solutions for everyone. For small companies, in exchange of going with free solutions, you have to work with less accurate data. But when you are like spending like small budgets, it is easy to see the impact of the paid campaigns, right, on your numbers. That's why working with blended data is also easier. When you are like using like a lot of paid channels, it starts to become harder to measure everything. That's why working with blended is not enough to get like an accurate picture of the reality. You need to use different data frameworks. That's why I work with these three, like deterministic from SKAN, then blended, then probabilistic as well for iOS. In Android, for now, we can enjoy the 100% accurate data, which is great. Or
so we're told. But zooming all the way out, this is more of a general question. Do you find that, okay, let's maybe use gaming apps because you have a lot of experience there. Do you find that iOS users tend to be higher quality versus Android in terms of retention or even LTV, ARPU, revenue, or am I being too harsh on Android?
No. I would say 99% of the cases I saw, iOS users are always better. And the reason is really simple. iOS users have a higher spending power. They just bought a phone which cost $1,000 or euros.
Can buy a house with it.
So, of course, their spending power is higher, and because of that, they normally have like better monetization metrics like RPU, RPPU, LTV. Those metrics are always higher. Retention is always higher as well. But in exchange of attracting users with higher quality, you have to pay a higher price for them as well. CPI is always higher in iOS. So at the end, it's about striking the balance, right, between both platforms.
100%. So let's segue into AppRadar and Splitmetrics, because those two platforms, I actually know the founder of AppRadar, Thomas. I had a call with him last year. Cool guy.
Yeah.
Those are pretty much the top dogs in the world of app marketing, and you've worked at both, and you're working at Splitmetrics currently.
So Splitmetrics acquired AppRadar last year.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I work with both companies. It is for me, it has been great to work with them. As I said before, working in the agency department, because AppRadar back in the days had like the tool AppRadar, which is like a SaaS, and then we had also like the agency. The agency was like a normal agency. We were like running paid campaigns and ASO optimizations for clients, basically. And then last year, AppRadar was acquired by Splitmetrics, and we are having the same. Splitmetrics is a bigger company, it's a global software company, which has like a bigger portfolio of solutions for mobile growth. The portfolio includes now AppRadar, but we also have Acquire, which is the Apple Search Ads management platform, and we also have Optimize, which is a platform to run A/B tests for your app pages. So it's basically the same. We also have the agency side at Splitmetrics, and I'm part of it. So basically, I work with this department, and I do the same that I was doing 4 years ago. I run campaigns and optimize ASO when it is necessary, and yeah, that is something that they really like, because as I said, I had the opportunity of working with more than 90 apps, and without them that wouldn't be possible, of course.
Right.
So yeah, I'm super grateful. And yeah, Thomas is a really cool guy. Everyone in the team, they are like super kind, super nice. We are supporting each other all the time. So I'm quite happy right now at the Splitmetrics. As I said before, as well, agency life can be exhausting, because dealing with people every day can be exhausting. But at the moment, I'm enjoying it.
What are some typical? I mean, we've already mentioned Splitmetrics, AppRadar. There's so many other tools out there. But do you have any favorite user acquisition tools or ASO tools that you use daily?
Starting from the basics, like the paid channels, of course, and the reporting systems. But I also use other tools that are like a bit more complex and sophisticated, like Amplitude, Mixpanel, Game Analytics, all those like analytics tools that help you to get like a more accurate insights about how your app or your game is performing, right? Of course, also ChatGPT. For ASO, I've also used like many ASO tools, not only AppRadar, but back in the days when I was like working in other companies, I could use Uptweak, I could use Mobile Action. So I really have experience with many apps. In my opinion, I don't have like a favorite. What I always try is to create a data framework, either in ASO or a UA, which gives me like the most accurate picture I can get. So if I have to work with 5 different tools, I work with them. I don't have issues. With some clients, they have their own VI tools, like they create like an internal reporting system, and sometimes I have to work with them, and I don't care. Numbers are the same everywhere. So yeah, if and when I get like an accurate picture of the situation, I don't complain. But if I work with you and I see that your data is a mess, I start to complain.
I posted a video last year on app marketing. It was like a quick. It's a 40-minute video, but I wasn't doing it like with my full heart. I was just kind of just recording it, and it didn't do well at the beginning. But now it's my most viewed YouTube video. It has like 2,000 views. Not viral, but I think app marketing. Obviously, you're posting about it on LinkedIn. I think there's a really good space there, man. So I don't know. Maybe one day if you want to do the YouTube thing, the podcasting, I'd encourage you to do it.
Maybe in the future, as I said before, if I start to work with my own company, I start to consider creating content, but it requires a lot of time, and that's why every time someone asks me to participate on a webinar, on an article, on whatever they need, I always say yes, because I really admire these people like you that work on like creating content for the industry, and I really want to help these people to develop their like projects. So it's huge niche, and we are still like in the early days. I would say there is still like a lot of things to do, and I think that the industry is gonna change like drastically in the next 10 years with the artificial intelligence. We're gonna see like a totally different reality in 10 years, and that is gonna bring opportunities, but also disadvantages for some people.
So at this point now, how do you learn about user acquisition and app marketing, ASO? Is it just your day job, or do you buy any courses, read any books?
I always try to be on top of everything, of course. I always try to be updated about the main news. Right now, tracking and privacy limitations is the hottest topic, as you know. So I try to read and watch every webinar, article or YouTube video that I discover, because it's really important to be updated about this topic. I didn't buy too many books about marketing, to be honest.
I don't think there is one.
I think there are like at least 2 or 3, as far as I remember. But most of the things I learned are from internet, like articles, webinars, blogs, everything that I try to implement on my own campaigns, channels, apps. Everything was because I got the idea from reading or watching a piece of content somewhere on internet.
I don't know if it's AppTweak, but there's one of these SaaS agency platforms. They have an ebook on app marketing. I don't know if you've read it. It's a really good. I read it last year, and I don't know if you can open this link, but it's called the book is called The Advanced App Store Optimization Book 2022 by AppTweak and Feature. Yeah, so it's like a collaboration between both platforms.
I see. Yeah, I remember this book. So, I mean, if you are starting in the industry and you need to learn, investing $20 on a book is totally recommended. Like, you need to be like as open as you can. Like, you need to open your mind, absorb all the ideas you can, in order to generate your own ideas once you start to work with apps. And at least that's how it worked for me. And that's what I normally recommend to the people who are starting in the industry. Like, really try to learn everything you can on internet, because there is like a lot of content. And then once you start to structure all the knowledge, try to apply that knowledge on your first job. And always try to be updated. Always try to be on top of all the new things, because that's gonna teach you more and more and more. For me, like practice taught me more than theory. I was like lucky enough to be in a company where I had the freedom to test new things, and I think that is really important to really learn with real data. Sometimes theory is not like the best way, because you get all the knowledge, but then if you don't test that, you lose the knowledge over the time. Yeah. So in my experience, working with all those apps, all those channels have been like way more insightful than reading or watching videos, because I could like directly check what works and what doesn't work.
So let's say, so you've been in this world about 6-7 years now, more or less?
Yeah.
If you were speaking to David from 7 years ago and saying, what advice would you give to David 7 years ago?
Well, I wouldn't change a lot, to be honest. I think that you need to be aggressive in the beginning of your professional career. You need to be aggressive with changes. You need to be aggressive with your feedback, with your opinions, with your like willing to learn. You need to be persistent, and sometimes you need to be boring with people, because otherwise you won't learn. You won't be the professional you want to be. So I always recommend the same, and just like don't be afraid of making changes on your professional career. Make as many changes as you need until reaching the point that you consider that you deserve. That's what I did, and right now I'm like super happy with my job, with my routine, with my colleagues. And every time I have an issue, my key let's say key rule is be transparent, because it's the only way that you have for people to like, it's the only way that you can be if you want that people treat you like a professional. If you're transparent with everything, the good and the bad things, you won't have any issue, because you are already warning about everything. And with that like idea, with that like dogma, I've been like evolving like year after year, like getting better. So at the moment I say that I wouldn't change too much. It is true that I was also like lucky enough to be aggressive. There are some people that can be aggressive at job because maybe they have things to pay, they have a family to feed, right? In my case, back in the days, I was like a student. I was living with my parents, so I didn't have to pay anything. I was not afraid of anything. My parents were like covering me, right? But of course, it depends on each situation. What I say is, within your limitations, try to be aggressive, but at the same time, try to be kind and transparent, because honesty is, for me, the best way to evolve on your professional career, for the good and for the bad.
Any predictions for the world of app marketing or marketing in general?
The prediction I have is that tracking limitations are the future, and they're gonna stay for forever already. And I think that people and companies that adapt better to this new reality will be the ones that will succeed. That is the main prediction I have. Then the other prediction that I'm not that sure is about AI. AI is for sure here to stay, and I really believe that the whole ASO and AI and UA industry will evolve and will drastically change over the next 10 years. And I think that AI will like get rid of people who are not creative enough. So it's gonna be like very interesting years. It's gonna be like really fun. I think that we are not seeing anything yet. Like the changes that we are gonna see are gonna be like much bigger than the things that we already seen over the last 10 years, and it's because of AI.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining the podcast, David. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, I just use LinkedIn, to be honest, for professional stuff. I don't have like Instagram or any other social media for work. I just use LinkedIn, so if you need anything, you can ping me there. For small questions, I always answer them on DMs, so feel free to ask whatever you need. And thank you, Jonathan, for having me here. Of course, it was a real pleasure. Count on me for anything you need on the future, of course, for this project.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.